introduce myself real quick. My name is Leo Ramirez. I'm a compliance technical specialist here at Microsoft, and I cover state and local government. Primarily, I cover the state of New York and the state of Florida. Very excited to be here presenting on this session. And I have with me Bhavana Bhatia. You want to introduce yourself, Bibi?
Sure, thanks, Leo. Hi, everyone. I am Bhavana Bhatia. I go by BB. I am also a compliance technical specialist at Microsoft, and I cover some locations in the West US, like California and some other states. And I help our customers in their data security, compliance, risk management journey. Very nice to be here with all of you today.
Thank you, Bibi. Very exciting topic, knowing and defending your data in the era of generative AI. This is part 3. So if you missed the first 2 sessions of the series, you can go back and watch the recording. We're very excited. We're going to be doing a lot of demos today. I do want to just break the ice a little bit and cover a few slides. Once again, as Barry mentioned, please feel free to put questions in the chat. And then hopefully we'll have time at the end to open up the mic for Q&A. So this is going to be the agenda. I'm going to be covering the aspects of knowing your data so that you can prepare for generative AI. And then this actually spans multiple areas. It's not just about the data, but it's about getting a better understanding and visibility of those AI applications. And then Bibi, she's going to be going into how you can defend your data in the uses of generative AI. She's going to show you how Purview can help you protect and govern your data at the same time managing risk as it applies to generative AI. So there's no doubt about it. Generative AI is here and it's moving at light speed. No doubt you guys have heard just how fast, you probably yourself signed up for a ChatGPT account when it came out. And this chart is just showing us that within 2 months, there were 100 million users of ChatGPT. This is phenomenal. And if we compare it to other groundbreaking technologies, such as smartphones, it took 16 years to get to that point. Even the internet took 7 years to get to 100 million users. What this is showing us is it's definitely here and it's moving fast. And this is why it's super important to get ahead of this and to start preparing for this journey into generative AI. Well, let's just ground ourselves a little bit on what generative AI is. Basic definition. It's just a type of artificial intelligence that's designed to generate new and original content that sounds like the response is coming from a human. All right? And how this can be helpful is, just like it says here, it unleashes creativity, it can make you more productive, and it can increase your skills. This kind of reminds me of a saying that I used to say. It can make you stronger, faster, and better. All right, so Microsoft has embedded generative AI into its product, Copilot for Microsoft 365. So, and how this works is Copilot for Microsoft 365 coordinates with the LLM model and also the Microsoft Graph. This is what has access to your content. And this is going to be things like emails, chat messages, SharePoint. And this is embedded into those Office applications, which can allow you to do things like summarize emails, summarize meetings, take meeting notes, all kinds of collaboration and production activities. And all of this is built on Microsoft's security It has compliance built in, privacy built in, and it's based on Microsoft's principles of responsible AI. Right. I wanted to show the shared responsibility model because this is super important, especially when it comes to data or securing data. Over here on the far left, we see that when it comes to infrastructure as a service, now this is primarily, almost always, 100% responsibility of the customer. But when we look at things like software as a service, and because we're talking about generative AI, Copilot for Microsoft 365, there are some shared responsibilities between the customer and between Microsoft. A good example of that is data security and governance. Well, Microsoft, we're responsible for your data, not sharing it with other tenants and making sure that it's encrypted at rest with things like BitLocker and TLS standards. But the customer, you guys are responsible for protecting and governing that data because you own it. And that's why it's super important to implement controls, security controls, compliance controls, to make sure that generative AI apps, they may be producing or accessing sensitive data. Another thing to keep in mind is if there's any protected sensitive content in the environment, users already have access to it. And that's why it's important to prioritize data security and data governance to get you ready for AI. So a lot of excitement on generative AI and getting on this journey, but there's also some concerns. And these concerns have potential risk. And what it all boils down to is if you have insufficient visibility into how AI applications are being used, this can result in data security incidents. It can also result in compliance challenges. We have a few examples right here. One example is users, they might be accidentally leaking sensitive information in AI apps. There's also a potential for oversharing. Users may access sensitive data using generative AI applications. They're not authorized to view that content or edit it. And finally, they might be using AI applications in a non-compliant way. This as well is a concern. And this can lead to definitely high risk in using those AI applications in an unethical way. So here's how Microsoft Purview can help. There's capabilities to help you secure your data. So IT teams, security teams can use tools in Microsoft Purview to help identify and discover where sensitive data is, but also classify it based on its risk category and prevent data loss. There's also capabilities for data governance. This is going to be for things like mapping your data, your structured data, data catalog, and getting data insights. And these are essential tools for data consumers, data engineers, and data officers. Also, there's tools for reducing risk, meeting compliance.
Hope you're talking about people that left a long time ago.
Can we have person go on mute?
Hey, Leo, I think you maybe accidentally have been muted as well.
Okay, thank you. So Evie is going to walk you through several of these solutions that can help reduce risk, compliance, and tools that will be helpful for legal teams, security teams, and whatnot. All right, so these are some of the areas where I'm going to demonstrate on how you can get visibility into where sensitive data is and how it's being used by generative applications. First, we have Content Explorer. We're going to go through there to see how sensitive information can be identified in the Microsoft 365 Purview portal. Activity Explorer will help demonstrate where activities related to sensitive data, sensitivity labels, and DLP matches. And then we're going to take a look at the Purview Data Governance portal. Now, a little bit outside of the Purview portal, there's a solution called Defender for Cloud Apps, which can surface how AI applications are being accessed through the environment. And it covers over 400 AI applications. There's also a solution for proactively identifying and protecting against privacy risk. This is the Priva solution. And one of the solutions that I'm really excited to show you is the AI Hub. It's right now in preview, but this application gets you visibility on generative AI apps that are being used by users, and if there's sensitive information that's being shared in those applications. And one thing I want to emphasize is it's not just the Microsoft cloud. We can get visibility on what's going on in AWS, Azure, Blob storage, but other third-party applications as well. And you're going to see a little bit of this in the demo. With that, let's go on a treasure hunt. What we're going to be searching for is sensitive data, because malicious actors, they consider those sensitive data, they consider those treasures. But we're going to show you how you can discover them and protect them and defend them. All right, so I'm going to start here. This is the Microsoft Purview portal, compliance portal. And right now I'm in the data classification overview page. This section, this page shows me trainable classifiers that are being identified in this tenant. Now, trainable classifiers is a type of classifier that's, instead of inspecting content, it's looking for types of files. These could be things like source code, resumes. But in this particular tenant, some of my top classifiers, trainable classifiers, are things are being discovered that have legal affairs, IT documents, HR documents. But if I go over here, sensitive information types, these are what's actually inspecting content, what's inside a file or an email. And it looks like I have a lot of social security numbers and credit card numbers. I also get insights onto sensitivity labels that are in the environment. This helps me understand how my data classification strategy is going. And it looks like users are applying labels appropriately. But if I want deeper insights onto exactly where that sensitive data is, I can go to the Content Explorer. This is going to allow me to drill into locations and identify exactly where social security numbers are, credit card numbers are. These are all the different types of sensitive information that are being detected. This is only sensitive information types, but it also shows me the labels that are detected, the trainable classifiers that I mentioned. But let's go back to these sensitive information types and take a look at credit cards. So I have over 16,000. And if I go into SharePoint, I can drill into this folder. It is going to show me the files that have credit card numbers in them. Why this is useful and valuable is that if I know exactly where this sensitive information is, I can create policies to protect that data, to classify it, and also prevent data leakage. This is super helpful for you, especially in this era of generative AI. So this is one area where we can get visibility. Another tool that can be used that I mentioned is AI Hub. Again, not yet available for government. It's still in preview, even commercial, but coming very soon. So if I scroll down here, we can get insights onto interactions with Microsoft 365 Copilot. I don't have Copilot in this environment, so it's not detecting anything yet, but it is showing me other third-party applications, AI assistants like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and it gives me visibility that users are sharing social security numbers and credit card numbers in these AI applications. I can also see that it looks like I may have some insider threats. And this is all because this tool is being used as interactively with our insider risk management solution. And I can click in and get more details. I'm going to step back and go to the Activity Explorer. This is another dashboard that can be used where you can see how labels are being applied, any activities related to labels. I can also see data loss prevention rules and how they're being matched. What kind of sensitive information is leaving my environment? Again, insights, visibility on how sensitive information is moving around in the environment or externally, whether or not it's being protected. So far what we've seen are things that are happening in the Microsoft 365 cloud. But what if I want visibility in structured data sources? Maybe things that are going on in Amazon. Well, over here, this is the Microsoft Purview data governance portal. Right now, it's a separate portal, but very soon it's going to be a unified portal. There's going to be one portal for gaining visibility across different clouds. Here's an example of sensitive information being identified in Amazon S3 buckets or SQL tables. If I drill into this SQL table, because I've registered SQL databases, I can see that there are different types of sensitive information in this SQL table. There's credit card numbers, PII. This is super valuable for me to know. If I go back and I take a look at this Amazon S3, this file that's in this bucket, I can see that there's credit card numbers in here. Because I have this information and I know, I can now defend. I can apply labels, sensitivity labels, so this content can be classified and protected. One other area that I also have visibility in, this is from the point of the CASB, the Cloud Access Security Broker. Here I can discover AI applications. So once I have this configured, I can see if there's generative AI applications in the environment. So why is that useful information? Well, not only can I see the users that are using these applications, but I can put protection settings. I can actually sanction or unsanction these apps. Sanction means they're approved. Unsanctioned means they're not approved. So if Google Gemini is detected, it's automatically blocked. So this application can't be used and prevent users from sharing sensitive information. So with that, what we wanted to demonstrate is there are multiple ways to know your data and know the applications that are accessing generative AI applications, and if sensitive information is being shared there. Now, with that, I'm going to hand it off to BB. and she's going to demonstrate how you can protect and defend your data as it applies to generative AI.
Thank you so much, Leo. That was a great demo of how Purview can help get visibility into sensitive content so that customers can start prioritizing data security in the era of generative AI. Now, once we have identified what sensitive content exists within the organization, you can start protecting the sensitive content and prevent oversharing of that content. It is important to ensure that there's just enough access on the sensitive information so that unauthorized users cannot access that content using Microsoft 365 Copilot or by any other means. With Purview information protection policies and sensitivity labels, you can apply rights management such that only specific users can access sensitive content. The sensitivity labels can be applied manually or automatically on the content, and you can protect sensitive content in Microsoft 365 on endpoints, data in on-premises file shares as well. Microsoft 365 Copilot will honor the Purview sensitivity labels and the permissions that come with the labels. The sensitivity labels are natively built into Microsoft 365 apps like Outlook, Word, PowerPoint, etc. So there's no need for administrators to deploy any client to the end user's machine. And the sensitivity labels that you create in Purview portal can also be extended to structured or unstructured non-Microsoft 365 assets like Azure SQL, SQL Server, Azure Files, AWS S3, and so on. And we saw how Leo showed how you can discover that content in these assets as well. By using Purview data loss prevention policies, you can prevent accidental or intentional oversharing of sensitive content. You can apply DLP policies to various locations like Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive for Business, Teams, and also to your on-prem data and your endpoints as well. With endpoint DLP, we can prevent copying of sensitive content to clipboard, to Bluetooth devices, to USB devices, to personal email, personal cloud drive, and you can also prevent sharing of sensitive content to consumer generative AI apps like ChatGPT or Google Gemini and so on. You can also extend your data protection and DLP to content in third-party SaaS apps like Box or Dropbox to GCP by using Defender for Cloud apps. And then finally, you can fortify your data security with Purview Insider Risk Management. This solution can correlate millions of signals from your users' Microsoft 365 apps, from their endpoints, from third-party SaaS apps, from DLP alerts, and it can proactively identify insider risks. You can then mitigate these risks through an integrated built-in workflow, and you can collaborate with your security, legal, and compliance teams through these insider risk management solution itself. Now, let's consider a data protection use case for Contoso, which is a state and local government organization. Some Contoso users have started working on a confidential project called Project Obsidian. And Contoso wants to automatically apply a confidential sensitivity label to all the Project Obsidian documents. Only authorized users can access the Project Obsidian documents. Unauthorized users must not be able to access Project Obsidian documents, and neither they can search Project Obsidian documents using Microsoft 365 Copilot. Then Contoso also wants to prevent exfiltration of any Project Obsidian documents or any PII content, and users must be prevented from copying Project Obsidian documents to their personal mail or to consumer generative AI apps. Now let's do a demo to implement this use case. So let me first show you the admin experience for creating the policies. So for that, I'm going to jump into my Microsoft Purview compliance portal. I'm currently logged in as a compliance administrator, And I am inside the information protection portal under the label section. As I mentioned, Contoso is a state and local government organization, and the compliance admin here has created this data classification structure. So you can see sensitivity labels here, like public, general, confidential, and highly confidential. These sensitivity labels have already been created. There are some sub-labels under confidential and highly confidential, and these labels apply rights management to the content so that unauthorized users will not be able to open the labeled sensitive data. So example, when this Project Obsidian related content is found, it can be automatically labeled such that only authorized users who are working on that project can access Project Obsidian documents. Let me show you the settings of this label. So let's edit this. Click on next. And here you can see that this Project Obsidian label can be applied to files as well as to emails. And when Project Obsidian label is applied to content, the users that are specified over here will have the co-author access to the content. So notice that this user Adil can access Project Obsidian documents. Users that are not included here will not have access to the content with this label. When Project Obsidian label is applied, it adds watermark, header, and footer to the content. And the header and footer will say confidential Project Obsidian. Then Project Obsidian label can be automatically applied to files and emails if the content has the keyword Project Obsidian inside it. Now, once these labels are created, they will have to be published to the appropriate users. And I have already done that as a part of this demo. Now, the admin also has to ensure that users do not exfiltrate Project Obsidian documents or even any PII information, or they should not be able to copy project documents to personal email or to consumer generative AI apps like ChatGPT. So for this, we will create DLP policies. So I'm going to the DLP portal here. And I have already created a DLP policy here to prevent sharing of PII and Project Obsidian documents from Exchange, from SharePoint, OneDrive for Business and Teams. To prevent copying of sensitive content to generative AI apps and personal email and cloud drives, I have created an endpoint DLP policy here. So let me show you this policy. Let's edit this. And inside this policy, you can choose the locations you want to apply the DLP policy to. So if I select devices, then this applies DLP policies to endpoints. And under the rules here, we can specify that if Project Obsidian or PII information like SSN or credit card number is found on the endpoints, then you can audit or restrict activities on the devices, like say copying the content to personal email or to generative AI apps. Let's also go to the endpoint DLP setting. And here you can block copying sensitive data to specific service domains. So here I have specified Gmail, ChatGPT, Google Gemini. And if the user tries copying sensitive content to these service domains, they will be blocked from doing that. Okay, so that was the administrator's experience. Now let's see the end user experience. Let's log on to a user's machine. And this is my end user, Adil. So Adil is currently working on a document for confidential project, Project Obsidian. The auto labeling policy has automatically applied this confidential Project Obsidian sensitivity label on this document. And this label adds rights management on this document. And only authorized users who are working on this project will now be able to access this document. So if Adil copies this Project Obsidian content and he pastes it into a generative AI app like ChatGPT, it will prevent him from doing so. So as you can see, endpoint DLP has kicked in. All right, and it is preventing him from pasting it into this chat GPT. As you can see, this is the toast notification that comes up from endpoint DLP. Now, if Adil tries copying this Project Obsidian document to his Gmail, you can see endpoint DLP will again prevent him from doing so. So you can make it less restrictive if the user provides a business justification and pastes it. So you can balance security with productivity, and you can create your policies accordingly. Now, if Adil shares PII info or Project Obsidian info with an external user in Teams, Teams DLP is preventing him from sharing this data. Let's say that Adil now goes to his Microsoft 365 Copilot chat. Okay. And here he asks the Copilot chat to summarize Project Obsidian. Copilot will identify the sensitivity labels on the source content and provide a response. So you can see that it has summarized this document, and it also shows the references here. And under the reference, you can see the sensitivity label on the referenced file. So this is the same document that I showed you here that Adil was working on. Okay, so Copilot identifies all these different sensitivity labels on the content. All right, now let's see another end user's experience, and this is for the end user Megan. Megan is a user in the organization Contoso, but she does not work on Project Obsidian. She should not be authorized to view any Project Obsidian related documents. So if Megan goes to Microsoft 365 Copilot chat, and if she asks Copilot to summarize Project Obsidian, Copilot cannot provide a response because she doesn't have access to the Project Obsidian documents. So basically, Copilot honors the labeling and permission and ensures that data is not returned to the user if the user doesn't have access to the data. So even if Adi forwards that document to Megan, Megan will still not be able to open that document or summarize it using Copilot because she does not have rights management on that content. When a sensitivity label applies encryption, the end users must have at least the extract and view rights on the content for Copilot to return the data. All right, so let's go back. And now let's see how Microsoft Purview compliance capabilities can help you with risk and compliance management for Microsoft 365 Copilot. Now, prioritizing data governance is crucial for successful generative AI initiatives. And with Purview data lifecycle and records management features, you can retain or delete the content and stay compliant with any regulatory or record keeping obligations. Purview retention policies will help you preserve organizational data as per your retention schedule. And with Purview deletion policies, you can delete stale data and you can reduce the risk surface of your data. By maintaining fresh data, you can enhance the accuracy and reliability of generative AI output as well. With communication compliance, you can analyze the user prompts and Copilot responses to detect any inappropriate or risky interactions of sharing confidential information in Copilot. Also with eDiscovery Premium, you can identify, preserve, collect, review, as well as export Copilot interactions. And this can help you in your legal, regulatory, or data security investigations. Then with Purview audit logs, you can capture how and when users interact with Copilot, in which Microsoft 365 service the activity took place. And you can find references to the files that were accessed during the interaction. If these files have a sensitivity label applied, then that information will also be captured in the audit logs. Okay, now let's see how Contoso can use Microsoft Purview to manage compliance use cases around Microsoft 365 Copilot. So Contoso wants to retain the Copilot interaction for all users for 1 year. This organization also wants to detect Copilot interactions that may include PII like SSN and credit card numbers. Then Copilot interactions around Project Obsidian that were done by unauthorized users must also be detected. And Contoso also wants to easily review the Copilot interactions using eDiscovery Premium for any legal request or public records request. And in case of any forensic investigations, Contoso wants to investigate Copilot interactions using Audit Premium. So now let's do a demo of how to implement this use case. I'm going to jump back to my Microsoft Purview compliance portal. And this time I will go to the retention policies under data lifecycle management. So the first step for the administrator here is to create a retention policy to retain Copilot interactions. So we're going to create this policy and we'll call it retain Copilot interactions for 1 year. So here you can choose the scope for retention policy. If you choose adaptive scopes, it's easy to deploy and maintain retention policies because you can specify the locations dynamically using attributes or properties. If you choose the static option here, you will have to choose locations containing the content that you want to retain. And if locations change after the policy is created, you will have to manually update the policy. Definitely, adaptive is a much more preferred option, but for the sake of this demo, I'm just choosing the static scope. Here, I'll be able to choose the locations to retain. And for this demo, I'm going to choose to retain the Copilot interactions of all the users. And I'll say I want to retain the Copilot interactions for 1 year. And I'll start the retention period of Copilot interactions when the items were created. Now, once this policy is created, the Copilot interactions will be retained in the user's mailbox for 1 year. Even if the end user deletes any Copilot interactions, they will still be retained in the backend till the end of the retention period. And all this will be discoverable during the e-discovery process. Next, to detect any unauthorized users who are searching for Project Obsidian documents, we can create communication compliance policies. So I'm here under the communication compliance portal, and I have already created this communication compliance policy, but I can show you how it looks like. So this policy applies to all the users. And if required, I can exclude users who are already working on Project Obsidian because I want to be alerted only when unauthorized users are looking for their sensitive Project Obsidian information. And then here I can choose which reviewer needs to review the communication that are returned by this policy. I want to look for unauthorized communication in Copilot interaction. So I'm going to choose this option. And then I can specify conditions to monitor. So example, I want to monitor user sharing PII info like SSN numbers or credit card numbers in Copilot, or I want to see users having Copilot interactions regarding Project Obsidian. Now, after the policy is created, if there is any communication that matches the policy, an alert will be generated. And then the reviewer can review communication compliance alerts. So let's check the communication compliance alerts. Just a second. Just hold on. Okay, my screen seems to be stuck here. Just give me a moment. So if I stop sharing and share it again, apologize for that. All right, so you can see that these are communication compliance alerts, and the reviewer can now start reviewing the communication compliance alerts. So this is my reviewer here, and he can see that Megan, who is an unauthorized user of Project Obsidian, is asking Copilot to summarize this project. And Copilot responds to it saying that it could not find any information related to Project Obsidian. Now it also tells you if the communication was done in Microsoft 365 Copilot chat or in Copilot in Word or Copilot in PowerPoint, etc. And then the reviewer can take actions to mitigate these communication compliance violations. So you can see various actions specified over here. All right, now next, let's see how to easily discover Copilot interactions within an e-discovery case. So let's go to the e-discovery portal and let's create a new collection so that we can start collecting the Copilot interactions. So we'll give this a name. And here, all user prompts to Copilot and responses from Copilot will be stored in the user's Exchange mailbox. So we are going to select Exchange location. And in the query builder, we will look for the filter type. Let's say equals, and then we'll say Copilot activity. Okay, so this is going to pull all the Copilot interactions. And then we are going to run this search. And we will upload the results of this collection into a review set. Now I have already done that for this demo. And you can see that there are all the Copilot interactions in Microsoft 365 across Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams, and also in the Microsoft 365 chat. So let's go to this particular interaction here. So you can see Adil is asking Copilot in Word to summarize a specific document. You can see the back and forth communication or conversation between Adil and Copilot. And you can also see how nicely the documents that were referred in the conversation are pulled as cloud attachments for review. And inside this review set, we also have this item class filter that will help you filter Copilot conversations specifically to Word, to PowerPoint, or Copilot conversations in the Microsoft 365 chat. So there are some really granular actions here. You can then review these Copilot interactions in place, and then you can export these conversations for your investigation. Next, let's see how to check Microsoft 365 Copilot activities that are logged to the audit log. So I'm right now in the Purview audit log portal. And to search the Copilot activities, I'm going to select this interacted with Copilot under the activities option. And then I can run the search. Now I have already run the search and I got a lot of results that match Copilot interactions. So I have opened this one interaction that Adil had with Copilot. And if we scroll here to the details section, under Access Resources, it shows the references to all the files and documents Copilot used in Microsoft 365 services. Like, for example, if it accessed any OneDrive or SharePoint Online document to respond to the user's request. If there were any sensitivity labels on the files, it shows that as well. It also shows me that this was a Word file, so it shows type as docx. And under app host property, it shows in which service the Copilot was used during the interaction. So for example, BizChat here refers to the Microsoft 365 chat experience on Bing. And if Copilot was used in Excel, PowerPoint, Word, Teams, etc., then this app host property would say app chat instead of BizChat. And under context, we could make out very easily whether it is service like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. One thing to note here is audit only shows the event data. If you want to see the text from the user's prompt or you want to see the response from Copilot and you want to see that entire interaction, then you will have to use the e-discovery search that I showed you in my previous demonstration. So yeah, we saw how you can protect your data for Copilot interactions and how you can manage risks and compliance of Microsoft 365 Copilot interactions as well. Now I'm going to hand it over to Leo for some additional reference information.
Thank you so much, BB. Excellent demo. And, one of the reasons that we do these webinar sessions is the questions we get from customers, like when BB was demonstrating the e-discovery capabilities of those Copilot interactions, she built this demo because customers ask us, well, what if we have an investigation or a public records request and we need to know how users were using Copilot for Microsoft 365 and what the prompt was, what the response was. Well, BB demonstrated that, also demonstrated how you can retain that data. So thank you so much for making that clear and incorporating that into this session. And what we wanted to show you here is, what this session is all about, getting ready for Copilot and generative AI. And as you see here, prioritizing data security and data governance, that's the key. Getting to know your data, getting to know what kind of generative AI applications users are interacting with, whether it's Copilot for Microsoft 365 or a consumer version of a generative AI application, you need that visibility. Once you know what you have and what's out there, defend that data so that users don't share sensitive data inappropriately. Prioritize data classification. Classify your data based on its risk level. Remove sensitive data that's stale, that you don't need. Put measures in place to prevent data loss. These are all some key things that you can start doing today to prepare, especially because right now, Copilot for Microsoft 365 is not yet available. This gives you time. So in my opinion, really add an advantage because you get more time to prepare for this. Here's some resources that you can do to get started. Number one, there's Microsoft funded partner-led workshops. Many of our partners have a Copilot readiness workshop or an assessment that you may qualify for. They also have data security workshops that can help you identify where you might have data risk. Many of you also have unified support. There's workshops so you can get a better understanding of how you can leverage the Purview capabilities like data loss prevention, insider risk management, really every solution that's within Microsoft Purview. You may have hours that you can use towards these workshops. We also have Fast Track. You can get assistance, whether you have G3 or G5. You have Fast Track that can help you start adopting Purview. If you're interested and want to learn more about what you've seen today or something else about Microsoft Purview, take this email address down. Maybe somebody can put it in the chat. Email that distribution list and one of your sales reps will get back to you. Another thing that's available to you is you can do a trial of G5 compliance so that you can test all of these advanced Purview capabilities like automatic labeling, endpoint data loss prevention, insider risk management, and e-discovery premium. Many of those capabilities that me and BB showed, they're already available within Purview. We called out the ones that aren't, but the ones that are, you can still test. And as these are delivered into GCC, you can start testing those as well. Here's some other resources. We're going to be sharing the deck. So if you're part of this community, you're going to get the deck. You're going to get the recording automatically. It'll be in the Teams channel. And with that, I think there's something Barry wanted to come back on and share some other information with us.
Yeah, thank you very much, Leo. So for those of you that have attended past sessions, you know that we've been trying to keep these sessions to about once a month for myriad of reasons. The month of April, however, we have two. We have two coming up. The next one, of course, once you join our community, as Leo mentioned, you'll get the invite automatically. But there's one on the 11th of April, and then there's another one on the 25th. So Leo, I'm going to ask you to kind of talk at a high level what's coming up on the 11th and the 25th and why we're doing 2 back-to-back in April, please.
All right. Thank you, Barry. So on April 11th, there's going to be a webinar on how you can leverage Purview to automatically discover sensitive data for on-premise file shares. But there's a twist to this one. We're also going to have a partner that's going to join and show how you can incorporate customized reporting. This has been a big ask for state and local government customers, getting those customized reports that can be used for different agencies, especially if you're in a shared tenant, but really getting a business level type report, something that's easy to understand by business leaders so they can make better risk decisions for the organization. And then the webinar on April 25th, this is going to be related to Security Copilot with the Purview integration. What you saw BB doing today, those Copilot related solutions within Purview, those were the embedded Purview with Copilot. But there's also a standalone feature that's within the Security Copilot solution. That's going to be next. That's going to be on April 25th. So be sure to join those 2 sessions. And as Barry said, if you're already part of the community, you're automatically going to get those invites.
Great. Thank you, Leo. So we always like to end on time, respectful of your time, and we're very appreciative of you joining today. If there are any questions, you can go ahead and come off mute and please ask away and we'll address them.